doesn't live outside of you. God is you.
Welcome back, Truth Seekers. No sin, no guilt, so don't worry about anything. Just realize you're your own Redeemer. Now, when she's channeling this spirit, in 1997, there were a number of scientists that got together with her, and this is what they saw happen when the spirit entered her, Jay. We've talked about this way back in the past once. And these guys were, let's see, what they saw, one thing that happened was her heart rate went down to 40 beats a minute and then jumped to 180 with just her sitting there. And in addition to that, her muscle tension, pulse, and galvanic skin response increased while her skin temperature and blood volume both decreased. And they showed this EEG needle on a piece of paper, and when the spirit entered her, it just jumped right across the page, which they had never seen happen before.
Have they done any testing since then? Because that's quite a bit of evidential piece there.
I don't know. In my experience in the past, being involved years ago in some deliverances, I remember seeing a woman that we were involved in a deliverance with. When a demon came out of her, at one point she had all this phlegm come spewing out of her mouth, huge amounts of it. She didn't vomit, it was just phlegm. It's something that you can't do in the natural. There's no way you can make yourself do that. And because I was just watching saying, can this really be true? And that was pretty convincing to me, plus I've had a bunch of other experiences that are pretty powerful. But that was a supernatural one that just, I'm kind of a skeptic. I like to see strong evidence for stuff like this, and God's provided that for me. We talked about how the church has been getting into altered states of consciousness without even knowing it. The same thing that these people do to get into an altered state of consciousness, which is generally meditate, getting the mind pretty much blank by repeating a word over and over and over and over and over and over, is recommended by Rick Warren in his book, pages 88, 89, Purpose-Driven Life. To get a phrase and repeat it over and over all day long, repeat it over and over again, certainly for a solid 20-minute period. And if you repeat something over and over again, like help me Lord, help me Lord, help me Lord, help me, that could become like a word, like, help me Lord is just one long word, and it stills the mind. It gets into a null state where you can eventually become so still that demons can oppress you, can even demonize you. And it's contrary to what Jesus said, which he said, when you pray, don't use vain repetitions like the heathen do. Now, that's a repetition and it's vain. And, Rick Warren puts a spin on that, but it's interesting, and that he's promoting this kind of stuff. And the Catholic Church has gotten into it. We even have something here from the Catechism, the Catholic Catechism, which says that we are gods, and that's hidden in the Catechism. We can tell you where it is. Let's see. I have a copy around here somewhere. But you've got it right there. It's this one down here, Jay. It's Article 3 in Section 2 in Profession of Faith, the Catholic Catechism, number 460, which says, why don't you read that, Jay?
Okay, for this is why the Word became man, and the Son of God became the Son of Man, so that by entering into communion with the Word, and thus receiving the divine sonship, might become a son of God. For the Son of God became man, so that we might become God. The only begotten Son of God, wanting to make us sharers in His divinity, assumed our nature, so that He, made man, might make men gods.
Now, you grew up in the Catholic Church. You were an altar boy. You learned a lot of stuff. You never heard that, did you?
No. Interesting. I learned more about the Catholic Church when I left the Catholic Church than when I was in it. I was kind of left in the dark and was only told certain things.
Well, I think that's in there because as the one world religion, as the Bible talks about, comes together, the Catholic Church can grab a hold of that and say, we believe that all along, that we're God, because that's what we've had in our catechism.
And that goes way back, I believe, even to the Nicene Creeds.
What is that?
that's when the leaders of the church got together and came up with their statement of faith and what their religion is all about.
The Catholic Church has been changing things all along, so who knows when they put that in. We have a guy on the phone. I can't read his name.
Roger?
Yes.
Roger, hi.
Hi, Roger.
Well, I was just impressed. I just turned that on, and I happened to see that a woman there that I was very impressed about what she was saying. I've studied the teachings of Krishnamurti, teachings of Christ, Buddha, and all of that, and what she's saying in the active present, when you are living in the active present, that's when people are empowered, and I have witnessed that in, as I said, in Krishnamurti and in so many historical people, and that is the essence of compassion and love and all in the active present. People think it's a thought. No, thought is thought. But if you are living in the active present, then there's no fear, there's no judgment, there is just observation.
Roger, let me ask you something.
Yes.
Would you agree with her and Oprah that we all have the potential to become Christ consciousnesses?
Absolutely. Christ just means that's what it is. It is the ability to be totally in the present. That's when they say that he was a light.
Well, Roger, let me just jump in here.
Yeah.
We like to correct things that we think are totally in error, and I want to share a few words as to how you can know that is untrue. And then you can get back. My name is Mike. This is Jay.
Her name, the one that was on.
What's her name?
Jay-Z Knight.
Yeah. Now let me just jump to the point and how you can know all of this stuff is wrong. I was into Eastern religion. I'm familiar a bit with some of the people you talked about. I was more into some other gurus than that. Read the Bhagavadim, the Upanishads, a little bit of the Gita, and then God saved me out of all of that. My mantra was Rama for a long time. But in any case, let me explain why and how she's in error. One, she says she's a Christian.
No.
We're going to have to shut you off for a minute because I really want to share this, because we've heard a lot in prior programs from people who have the same viewpoint as you, but we want to just let people know what we feel is the truth, and then if you have stronger evidence that can outweigh the evidence we have, because we believe God's given us a mind to use and to think. And so with that, we know that the Scripture, as Jay was saying earlier, God tells the future 100% accurately. He says that no one else can do, and He's told the future in the Dead Sea Scrolls about Israel being scattered throughout the earth, becoming a nation again, and after it becomes a nation again, after a long time, when people, for a long time, Jews are scattered throughout the earth, they're going to be killed, Jerusalem's going to be destroyed, they're going to be killed, their life is going to hang in the balance, and all these countries they're going to go to. And after they come back as a nation again, way in the future, there's going to Iran, Persia is going to be a country allied against Israel, with countries north to the othermost north of the Black Sea, it mentions Rosh, which is Russia, Meshech, Moscow. Roger didn't want to wait for this. He wanted to get his points in for Eastern religion. That's okay. He can call back if he'd like. But in any case, and he's not going to have a response to this. The response being that, again, God can tell the future 100% accurately. These spirits can't. That's the most powerful thing. And there are many other things archaeologically as well to prove that this word is true, and that the people who hung out with Jesus, Peter, John, Matthew, Mark, isn't it more likely they would know what Jesus said, those who were with him, and they were willing to die and give up their lives? We know that in 64 AD, right around there, Nero had strings of Christians crucified on stakes around Rome and made them scapegoats. And they were, historically, we know, that was just 30-something years after Jesus was crucified. Lots of people around who have seen all these things that they were willing to go to their death for, in saying that they saw Jesus heal all the lepers, the blind people, the lame, raise the dead. You don't go to your deathbed lying about God. Generally, you lie about what you think you've seen. These people saw people raised from the dead, people blind from birth get their sight back. Rose, good evening, and what would you like to share with us?
Oh, hi. I so enjoy your program. you guys are I'm a Christian. I'm a believer in Jesus Christ, and you guys are covering the Oprah Winfrey thing and Jay-Z night tonight.
Yeah.